Rethinking healthcare takes more than disruption. It takes more than thought leaders. It takes changemakers and doers. That's who we'll be speaking to on the Healthcare Rethink podcast, giving you, our dedicated listeners, a rich body of insights to make your own change. This is the Healthcare Rethink podcast.
Yes, this is the Healthcare Rethink podcast. I'm your host, Brian Urban, and today we have a good one. We have the U.S. go-to-market leader from Aon joining us, Kevin Fyock. Kevin, thanks for joining our little show.
Thank you so much for having me. Super excited for us, and really nice to meet you, Brian.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We've gotten to know each other a little bit back and forth before our recording here. And Kevin, with every episode we love to have our audience get familiar with our guests. Sure. And there's no better way to do that than to go back before all of your creative innovation work at Aon, maybe even before your time, your fun days at Penn State. What took you into a large, impactful corporation like Aon? What took you into the innovation space that you sit in now, developing some really cool tech, some really cool data exchange ideas? Take us through the journey.
Yeah. So it probably all started at Penn State, which I'm sure you'd be happy to hear, right? I started my career at a different consulting and brokerage firm. So I started with a different organization and spent about 13 years doing strategy consulting and benefit consulting with large multinational organizations. And then I wanted to sort of scratch the itch around going into the health tech space. So I spent 2 years on the commercial side at a small AI-driven symptom navigator, which was a ton of fun. Really enjoyed my time there, and decided to join Aon about a year and a half ago in the capacity that I work in now. And it's been a ton of fun. Aon's an organization that puts innovation first. And to your point, we're doing some really neat stuff around innovation, around products and solutions we're rolling out. So the journey has been all within healthcare throughout my whole career, but sort of waffling between consulting and brokerage, tech, and then now back to consulting and brokerage.
And that's really helpful to know, just contextually, what you've experienced and done getting to where you are now, the impact that I think a lot of your work will make across the healthcare ecosystem and even beyond that. One thing I thought was interesting about your background is you going to a startup firm coming from maybe a very large organization before Aon. And I was listening to some other really interesting podcasts today. Stephen Bartlett mentioned that he recommends a lot of people in their career, one point or another, go into a tech startup, whether it's software-based, AI-based, so they can have their closer connections to the decisions being made, closer to money's being put in investment. And then if it fails, you're seeing why in real time, and then you can move on. But do you think that was a big component of you in terms of growth and impact within your career?
Oh, absolutely. I talk with my wife about this all the time, sort of prior to going to that organization and then rejoining consulting, coming to Aon. I think it was probably one of the best career moves that I made, right? So an opportunity to, one, try something different, but then see it from a materially different angle. So it has been, phenomenally enjoyable to see, to your point, a totally different side, from fundraising to how employers consume tech in a different way than sometimes we see in consulting. And I think it's probably made me a better consultant too. So when I speak with organizations throughout the country, I think I can look at things in probably a little bit of a different lens. So very happy about sort of the path that I took, and just very grateful to have the opportunity to spend a little time that I did in tech.
That's really helpful, because I think people will take that career stepping stone as something nice, a feather in your hat, a note on your CV. But it's more than that. It's something that can be built into your view when you share perspective from a consultative standpoint, and then actually have it be applicable, not just an opinion, but actually applied. So I always thought that was an interesting part of your background. So thank you for digging into that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Kevin, it's safe to say you're definitely a cross between a health techie and a true techie at this point, because you've done so many things across industries. But let's talk a little bit about what Aon's next big thing is these days. You touch a lot of different industries and subsegments within that: reinsurance, cybersecurity, insurance growth strategies. And we're going to talk about a really cool tool that you've developed.
Yep.
A lot of users on it as well, the health equity and affordability tool. But what's some of the cool things with that, or maybe aside from that Aon's working on these days?
Yeah. So, Brian, it's not one thing, right? I would say it's a variety of focal areas that we really want to touch. And I think at the end of the day, we're keenly focused on what our clients are interested in, what pain points they're trying to solve. So, I could rattle off a series of trends, many of which that I'm assuming would resonate with you, from the rise of GLP-1 medications and obesity having such a significant light shined on it, focused on cancer and looking for solutions that really support a broader cancer journey, well-being, mental health, behavioral health. So there's a lot of things that we have sort of the incubation stage of products and solutions that we're looking to develop to address a lot of these concerns that our clients are bringing us. And then also looking at sort of the linkage between providers and value, network contracting and value. Our clients constantly ask us for, creative and innovative ways to actually have people steered towards the highest quality providers. But being at Aon, I think we're so fortunate because, we are an organization that has a massive risk presence, right? So I sit on our healthcare team, but I partner very regularly with our risk folks. And it was through that lens that we developed a solution that we've been scaling pretty successfully in the past couple of months. And that's this tool called our Health Risk Navigator. So we recognize that high cost claimants are such a huge concern out in the marketplace. So we developed a machine learned predictive model that looks at claim data, gets smarter the more claim data we have, and we can help organizations sort of better predict risk, reduce volatility, and then use that as a key input to say, what's the underlying clinical makeup of our population to steer folks to the right place to access care. So that's something I'm super excited about, right? Because it's not just addressing a single condition, but tying together sort of both sides of the house at Aon across health and risk, and then going to market with a solution that helps to address those problems from a high-cost claimant perspective.
I thank you again for being on our little show here. This has been a really fun conversation, and I just appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. This was a lot of fun, so I appreciate having me.
And for more exciting excerpts and insights, please visit us at finthrive.com.
Rethinking healthcare takes more than disruption. It takes more than thought leaders. It takes change makers and doers. That's who we'll be speaking to on the Healthcare Rethink podcast, giving you, our dedicated listeners, a rich body of insights to make your own change. This is the Healthcare Rethink podcast.